Thank you. Believe in miracles where nothing remains the same. That wraps it up, really. So this month, our focus is on magic and miracles. In Scripture, we read about all kinds of miracles, and we may wonder, are there any miracles that happen to us in our lives today? And the answer is yes. And so what I'm going to invite you to do for this month is to call in miracles and magic in your life. Are you ready for that? Call in miracles and magic. Let us call it in and be conscious of it. And since it's the time of the year where we honor St. Francis, we're also blessing our animals today. So after the service, we invite you, if you brought your dog, to come forward over here, and we have little doggy communion wafers in the shape of hearts, Paul Newman treats. And those of you who have kitties, and usually it's a picture of a kitty, I would be surprised if anybody brought their kitty. We have blessed catnip over in the back of the room on that table. And of course, any other animals that come forward, we invite you to bring them so they may be blessed. So why magic and miracles with animals? Because animals are magical beings, and they give us a connection to their world that opens us to it. So we get to hang out with our kitties and see the world through kitty eyes. We hang out with our dogs and we see the world through dog eyes, or our horses, or our rabbits, or our birds, or whatever it may be. And they also give us unconditional love. They will never unfriend us. They are with us when things are good, and they are with us when things are bad, and they are with us when things are just, just kind of going through life, they're there all the time. I met a woman in between services. She's just turned 30, and she had 2 dogs that she got when she was 15 years old. And they both recently died in the last 2 months. And she said, do you know how hard that is, that half of my life was spent with these 2 dogs? She goes, I've gone through 7 boyfriends, but these dogs were they were always there for me. And it's one of the ways that we get touched by magic. It's one of the ways that we get touched by healing is through our animals. So we are blessing all animals today, not just our pets, but the wild ones who live in the fields and the forests, and the domesticated ones that give their lives for us, and also the wild ones who give their lives for us for food. So we honor and we bless all these animals. And truthfully, most of the time when we think of at least our domesticated pets, we think of dogs and cats, and much has been written about them. And I just want to share with you a couple of things about the differences between dogs and cats. Dogs come when you call them. Cats take a message and they'll get back to you. Dogs will let you give them a bath without taking out a contract on your life. Dogs will bark to wake you up if the house is on fire, and cats will quietly sneak out the door. Dogs will bring you your slippers or the evening newspapers, while cats might bring you a dead mouse. Dogs will greet you and lick your face when you come home from work, but cats will be mad that you went to work at all. Dogs will tilt their heads and listen whenever you talk. Cats will yawn and close their eyes. I think cats keep us humble. They have this very independent spirit, and they keep us humble. And the truth is that I believe that our animal companions become a part of our soul. And that is what has happened to me most of my life, mostly with cats. When I look back on my life and I think of all the cats that I've had, it's really hard for me to pick a favorite, because I have been blessed with the most amazing, amazing cats. And Geo, my dog, is the first dog that I've actually had that I've had a deep connection with. I've had dogs in the family, but they've always kind of bonded to somebody else in the family other than me. And, Geo first appeared to me literally in a dream. I dreamed that there was a hang glider, a woman hang glider. She caught fire, fell to the earth, and all that was left was her head, but she was alive. And I went up to her and I said, in my kind and compassionate way, I said, you're not going to live, I don't know how to tell you this, but you don't have a body. And she said, I know. And this little dog came and ran up to her and licked her face. And I said, is that your dog? And she said, it is. And I said, can I have it? You know, because I knew she wasn't going to be around. I said, can I have it? And she said, you can have her if you can say her name. And I said, what's her name? And she said, her name is Geo, and it was something like Geo. That's all I could remember when I woke up. And the next day, my friend Catherine and I were both in searching at that period for a dog, and through a series of synchronistic events, we found these wire-haired dachshunds. Let me hold Geo just for a minute. So we got Geo and her brother Corwin at the same time, and that was 11 years ago, and she has been my companion pretty much ever since. And and she goes, I mean, the advantage to having a little dog is you can take them all kinds of places, and I literally have one of those pink Paris Hilton purses that I put her in, and I take her with me to all kinds of places. I had asked my girlfriend once, can you tell that I have a dog in here? She said, no, only that you have really bad taste. And I did even take her to a movie recently. We were watching James Bond 6 months ago or whatever, and she got out of the purse, and I was so engaged in the movie, and all of a sudden I see people going like this, and she was eating the popcorn going down the thing. So I had to crawl on the ground after her and bring her back. And so anyway, she's been just this wonderful companion, just turned 11, and I'm very grateful that she is in my life. That dog said, me, I'm... This summer, I took the gondola up Crystal Mountain, and I brought her with and asked the woman who was running the gondola, I said, is it all right to bring pets? And she said, oh, yeah, it is. And she said, is that your service animal? And I said, no. And she said, no, I'm not kidding. She said, my mother has a dog, and she is much more relaxed. And she suffered from anxiety attacks, apparently. And she said she's much more relaxed when her dog is with her. So she actually got her doctor to write a prescription or a letter or something so that she has a card that says her dog is a service dog. And this dog goes everywhere. It's amazing the things that you can do. Anyway, examples of animals connecting to our soul are also found in all species, in horses as well. I recently saw a documentary called Wild Horse, Wild Ride, and it takes place in Texas, and basically the government rounds up these wild Mustangs once a year, like 1,000 of them apparently or something, and they bring them in, and they want them to be tamed so that they can be adopted out. And there's sort of a contest that happens around this whole event, and that is there are 100 people who get one horse each, 100 horses, and they keep them for 100 days. Now, they get the horse totally randomly. It's not like you can look around and go, I want that horse or that horse. You just stand there and you get your horse. You don't get to choose. And these horses are so wild, and they're so afraid because they've never seen a human, they've never been touched by a human, they want nothing to do with humans. And this documentary follows, the trainers are all from different walks of life. You know, there's a Native American guy, there's a really sweet 20-something-year-old young man who lives on the East Coast who's like this horse whisperer. He's very gentle. There's this flamboyant woman who wears these crazy cowboy outfits, and you know, she's really loud and obnoxious. And there was this big, tall Texan guy who was like, you know, in his 70s. He's huge, and he got the tiniest horse. He got this little tiny. He kept going, what am I going to do with this little horse? And there was another woman from the East Coast who had the jodhpurs and the hat and the, you know, just like she was going hunting, very precise. And we follow these horses through the 100 days. And what is amazing to me is that they merged and became one. The horse and the person became like one soul. The flamboyant woman with the cowboy hat, her horse was doing all kinds of things. The horse whisperer guy had his horse, it would just roll over and lay down and put its belly up. He blindfolded it and walked it around and rode it down steep embankments while it was blindfolded. The Jodhpur woman wanted to do everything. That is a word, isn't it? I don't do horses, so. She was very precise and very, marchy kind of, and her horse just kind of became that. The Native American guy really connected. So it was this amazing story, and then at the end of the 100 days, they come back, and the horses are all auctioned off. Now the interesting part is you don't get your horse necessarily. Even though you have bonded, you have trained this horse, you have to barter to try and get your horse back. And in some cases they didn't. But it was this amazing dance that was happening, and you could really see how the animal and the person, how their souls reconnected and became one, because each horse seemed to emulate their trainer, and they became an extension of one another. I believe that cats, dogs, horses, rats, birds, bunnies, whatever, can be a healing agent to us, can be a balm to our soul, can help us in times of difficulties. My daughter is in her last year of college, and pretty much her whole life she's been an athlete. She's been an amazing athlete. But she ended her career in soccer last year, so she had one more year of college, and she knew she was going to be in this weird transition place, this place of who am I? And you know how it is when you're in your 20s, it's like, who am I? What am I? Where am I going? Where am I going to work? Where am I going to live? And it's a very vulnerable place to be. And last year she said, I want to get a dog. So she ended up getting a Cocker Spaniel Poodle last spring. And the two of them, it's been so fun for me to watch them merge. Her name is Moxie. And the dog does fist bumps, and she goes bang bang, and the dog plays dead, and and this dog has been a transitional object for her. Not that she's going to drop it, but she's connected with this dog to help carry her through whatever is next for her, because she's entering into the unknown. Now the neat thing about Animal Blessing Sunday is the stories are limitless, as are the videos. They're just limitless. And I want to share with you my favorite story that was brought to me by Johnny Woods. And it's a story of a man from England. His name is James Bowen. And James Bowen is a former heroin addict and basically kind of a homeless guy, even though he lived hand to mouth. He had an apartment without much stuff in it. And what he did to earn money was he'd get his guitar, he'd go to downtown London, and he would play. It's called being a busker in England. And people would give him money. And he'd make about 20 pounds a day, which was enough to just get a little food and keep the heat and the lights on. But he was basically invisible. Nobody paid much attention to him, and he was alienated from his family because of his drug use. And one day when he was coming home, there was an orange ginger cat, tabby cat, in front of his apartment. And after seeing this cat for days and days, and he noticed the cat was wounded, was injured, he brought it in, healed it, took it to the vet. And then he was like trying to get rid of this cat, because he's like, well, the cat probably has a home somewhere. And so one day when he's going to work to sing in London, this cat follows him down the street. And he keeps telling the cat to get out of here, go back. And he's walking down the street, and there's the cat, and he keeps pushing him aside. He crosses a busy street, the cat is still there, he gets to the bus stop, he's telling the cat to go away. So the bus comes, and he gets on the bus, and he walks to the back, and he's putting his guitar in a shelf above the seats, and he looks down, and the cat is on the bus sitting on the seat. And somebody says to him, "Is that your cat?" And he goes, "Well, I guess it is." So the cat rides the bus, looks out the window, and goes with him to his street corner where he's busking. Now, an interesting thing happens, because he carries the cat sometimes on his shoulder as he's going down the street. He had been invisible. Nobody ever talked to him, other than sometimes, to harass him or give him some money. But all of a sudden, people are stopping and saying hello to him. Now, they're really saying hello to the cat, but they're stopping and they're engaging him. And at first, he's a little shocked, like, do they see me? Are they talking to me? And then he starts singing, and instead of 20 pounds, he makes 60 pounds that day. The next day, he makes 80 pounds. And all of a sudden, people are coming up to him and talking to him, and they're engaging with him, and he's a part of their lives. And women are coming up to him and knitting scarves for the kitty. And at Christmas, they knit him a sweater that said Santa Paws. And then he moves to selling magazines, like we have Real Change here. He was selling magazines like that. And he's on the corner. And one day, these young people from Spain came to him. And the cat's name is Bob. And the kids go, "Oh, it's Bob." And he said, "How do you know the cat's name? You know, he'd never seen these people before. They're from Spain." And they said, "YouTube." And he said, "YouTube?" And the tourists had been videoing him, putting him up on YouTube. So he and the cat went to the library and calls up Bob the street cat, and all of a sudden there's 5,000, 20,000 hits on these YouTubes. Long story short, an agent contacts him, asks him to write a book, and he does. But this cat changes his life because he was never responsible for anything or anyone ever in his life. And this cat calls him all of a sudden to have to take care of something other than himself and to engage in life in a way that he never has before. Now, we do have the video that I'd like to show you because it's just an amazing story. It's just this wonderful story, and it's just about how magic and miracles show up in our lives, and they're probably sitting at your house right now waiting for you to come home. Your magic and miracles is right there.
And then one day, we followed him to work, and that was the day that changed our lives. When Bob started busking with me, people started giving much more chance to the They started taking photographs, bringing in little gifts, so much so that he became such a celebrity that even said Paul Carr came to give him a visit.
I'm here to see James Bowen and Bob.
Bob.
I've actually come 3.5 hours on the train today down here.
Can't wait for my book to be hand and paw signed.
They're my absolute idols at the moment. I'm reading their latest book as well. I'm really enjoying it.
A young man who lost his way and found his way with a cat who's always going to be a loyal and a friend. To me, that's just amazing.
It completely changed my idea about homeless people. You know, I can't walk past a big issue seller without buying it, or maybe having a sandwich, just having a chat.
We're making this tomorrow. And I've got it some dreamy.
It's a scarf I've knitted for Bob with his name on.
This is what my mum said for Bob. That's really lovely.
Bob's story has spent a year on the bestseller list around the world, and now this summer is coming to America, and we can't wait to share it with you guys stateside.
James Bowen, again, was a former heroin addict, and he was on methadone. It's part of the treatment in England that you can do that. And he decided that, again, because he was responsible for something other than himself, that he wanted to get off methadone, so he quit cold turkey. And he said, as he was going through his shakes and his nausea and his dark nights of the soul, Bob never left his side. And he said, in fact, sometimes he would feel like nails digging into his arm, and he'd wake up and he realized that from the cat's perspective, maybe he had stopped breathing or looked like he was moving away, and the cat was calling him back. He ended up, he had been alienated from his father, his mother, his friends, and he ended up reconnecting with his entire family. He kicked the methadone habit totally. And again, he did it cold turkey, and I wonder how many times have you been comforted by your pet? Maybe you're not going through withdrawal symptoms, but maybe there's moments in your life where you feel like, you know what, I don't know that I can go on anymore. And they're there to comfort us. They're there to give us that unconditional love. And you know, if you don't have a pet right now and you're thinking about one, there's shelters that are just loaded with them that are waiting, that are animals there that are just waiting for homes. So I invite you to bring magic into your life if you don't have it. And if we do have it, to just stop and look at them, because sometimes they're there so much that they become a part of the wallpaper or the you know, we don't even see them, that they're magical beings. So we invite magic into our lives this month. Are you with me on that? Yes. Invite magic and invite miracles. Be open to it. We also honor, again, all animals, the wild ones in the forest and on the land, the ones who give their lives for food. We also honor those who have made their transitions, and our souls are gentle with that. In closing, I would like to share with you a prayer. It is a Native American prayer by Victor Furman. O Great Spirit, I give you thanks for creating all of the peoples, two-legged, four-legged, winged, and finned. May I learn the great lessons from each of these. From the cat, let me learn healing, clarity, and keen vision. From the bird, let me learn how to make my spirit soar. From the fish, let me learn tenacity and to overcome obstacles. From the horse, let me learn strength and freedom. And from the dog, let me learn faithfulness, courage, and unconditional love. May I walk, swim, and fly in harmony and balance with all of these. Aho. Aho. Thank you.